Thank you all for joining our webinar. This is John, the CEO over here at ScopeStack. Have Nick Wolf with me, longtime friend over there at Cork, doing some cool stuff. So again, you kind of think looking at this webinar, the two of us, we don't really have a lot in common. However, um, there really is, right? I mean, we're engaged, we're in the trenches with a lot of our clients around how to properly scope out services engagements. And some of the trends that we're seeing, or not some of them, but one of the biggest trends we're seeing, of course, is a continual increase in cybersecurity projects. Is what does that mean, right? Like I think it's one of those topics that can get kind of hairy for a lot of people and kind of confusing. But Nick's been in this space for a long time and does a great job of unconfusing that for us. So Nick, man, thanks for joining and telling us just a little bit about what you have going on over there at Cork now.
Yeah. So thanks so much for bringing me on today. Nick Wolf, I'm the Director of Partner Acquisition here at Cork. I really work with managed service providers all day, every day. That's my passion. And ultimately, what we do here at Cork is we offer a cyber monitoring and cyber warranty platform for MSPs. Essentially, it could act as supplemental coverage alongside cyber insurance to give the client financial protection during a cyber incident, as well as help the client know if there's any vulnerabilities in their cybersecurity posture that would lead to their cyber insurance policy getting denied or getting voided. So ultimately, what we want to do is make sure that the client is financially protected during a cyber incident without having to go through the process of filling out 50 pages worth of paperwork and all these security questionnaires in order to get financial coverage, like you would typically have to do with a normal cyber insurance policy.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's great. And again, like I think I posted about this online, but doing some research and really just trying to understand the space a little bit better, as we're engaging with our customers, some of the facts, right? And this is coming from pretty solid reputable sources, like attacks on SMBs. So again, like we both work with the service providers, their end customers is really who I'm talking about, but like it's like surging up to like some ridiculous number, 424% annually is what I
Mhm.
saw. I mean, is this like as you're engaging with MSPs on your end, like are you hearing and seeing the same things that they're dealing with their clients?
Yeah, so we are seeing the trends of cyber attacks go up drastically, and as a result of that, we're seeing a lot more customers get cyber insurance in place, which is super important. Everybody out there should have a cyber insurance policy, but having a cyber insurance policy, isn't the answer to all your prayers. Cyber insurance really needs to be cybersecurity and cyber insurance needs to be a multi-layered approach. It's not just about having one tool or one product in place. It's a multi-layered approach to make sure that the client is hardened.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, like there's just some crazy stuff out there. I'll read some because I think they're interesting, but like 70% of SM, and you probably have a lot of data right on your side as well, but um 70% of like SMBs like know they've been cyber attacked, which leaves like the other 30%, you're like, what happened? Right? Don't even know if anything happened or is happening. Um, like attacks per employee mailbox are 300% higher at SMBs. And again, I think that's a large part around like education and training of like just how important this topic is and how meaningful it can be, of course. And then this one really stuck is like 52% of data security breaches result from just human and system failure. Like there's this education piece. I mean, are you helping like equip the MSPs so that they can equip their end customers with just like the basics? I mean, do you feel like you're having to train them up a decent amount?
Absolutely. It's all about education, not only for the MSP, but for them to communicate that message to their end user customers. So one of the slides I like to bring up is, just some of the statistics around cyber insurance. So
Yeah, perfect.
some of the things that we've seen, you should be able to see my slide here now. Some of the metrics that we've seen is that around 30 to 40% of cyber insurance claims that actually come in are actually denied by the cyber insurance carrier. So one
Wow.
of the stories is from Travelers Insurance, where they sold a cyber insurance plan to a small business. In order to get that cyber insurance plan, the small business had to fill out a questionnaire. Do you have backups running? Do you have antivirus installed? Patch management running? Is MFA turned on, etc.? And like most small businesses unfortunately do, they get a piece of paper, they say yes to it without really reading it. They submit it, pay for their insurance, and they hope insurance pays out. In this example, though, cyber insurance did not pay out because on the questionnaire, the small business said that they had multi-factor authentication turned on, when in reality, it wasn't. So
Yeah.
when the
I think you
insurance,
told me about this one before. It's wild.
yeah. So it's absolutely crazy that, we're seeing around 30 to 40% of these cyber insurance claims getting denied. We're seeing the cost of cyber insurance skyrocket the last few years, going up roughly 50 to 100% year over year. So imagine paying $5,000 for cyber insurance in 2023 or 2024. You're probably going to be paying $10,000, double that here in 2025 going into 2026. So
Man.
absolutely startling results. And then the last thing that we're seeing is the process to get cyber insurance and get paid out on cyber insurance has really increased over 20x. There's more questionnaires you got to fill out, more paperwork that you got to do in order to get money from the cyber insurance carriers. There's a lot more involved. There's a lot more forensics investigations that have to be performed as well. Now, this isn't designed to be a ding towards cyber insurance. Cyber insurance is still super important. It does indeed pay out in a lot of other scenarios, but these are just, some things we always like to educate our MSPs and our clients on. It's not a simple conversation of, oh, I filled out this one questionnaire. It's a $2 million policy. So if I get hit by an attack, I'm getting $2 million in my inbox tomorrow, right? Doesn't really work like that, unfortunately.
Bummer. That'd be awesome if it did.
Yeah.
I mean, like, again, looking at like from our perspective in cyber or just like the application stuff. I mean, do y'all have a pretty is it pretty easy for like an end customer to understand like what they're signing up for? Because I mean, you put the word like insurance, right, on anything, and it's like, man, that is confusing instantly, right? Like, so what are y'all doing to kind of
Yeah, so that's a great point, and I think that's where ScopeStack and Quarks share some similarities is you're all about making the client's life easier, right? Removing button clicks, automating it, making life easier in the process much more simpler, right? That's
yeah,
what you guys do on a daily basis. And in a lot of ways, that's what we're trying to echo here as well at Cork from a cyber insurance, cyber warranty standpoint. So what Cork does is we help our MSPs and their clients eliminate the need for filling out a lengthy security questionnaire by monitoring all the cybersecurity tools in their environment. And for us, we're vendor agnostic. So we'll be tying into the MSP's remote monitoring and management, patch management software, their endpoint detection and response software, their data backup software, their multi-factor authentication software. So we're going to have all these security tools under one roof. From there, we could determine if there's any misconfigurations or compliance issues across those tools that would void out a cyber insurance policy if the client has a cyber insurance policy, or void out a cyber warranty if they purchased a cyber warranty through Cork. And because we're monitoring all this information in real time, this gives us the ability to share this information directly with the cyber insurance carriers. That way, the cyber insurance carriers can now get the client an instant cyber insurance quote without the hassle of filling out a security questionnaire. So gone
hmm,
are the days where the client's going to have to, answer this questionnaire of who I'm using for MFA, who I'm using for backup, because with this monitoring platform that's vendor agnostic, we're sharing this information directly with that insurance provider. The insurance provider is going to see, oh, you use Duo for MFA, you're using SentinelOne for EDR, you're using Ninja for RMM. All these tools
yeah.
are instantly going to be shared with the provider.
No, it's really cool. I mean, just looking at this like this slide right here, right? I mean, through our platform, right? Service providers are, for some of them, scoping out what it's like to implement some of the stuff for their end customers, or right, and like I think if there's like this constant thread of like cybersecurity, just like there should be as a part of like all of it, it shouldn't just be like that shouldn't just be its own thing, like sitting on the side and hey, like we might get to that. Like I can tell you, like a lot of our service providers and customers of ours, like that is an ongoing thread that you'll see in all their services engagements is like the idea of like cybersecurity and how does it role like play into the larger picture. Um, and again, I can tell you those are expensive projects that they're, delivering for their end customer. And like it would truly be a shame that you deliver something, right? You scope it well. That's what we do. You deliver the project, but at the end of the day, like you don't have that threat of cybersecurity involved, and then the layered like the protection of what Quark provides as well. Um, Again, it's just like it needs to be like this holistic strategy. It can't just be like, hey, we'll get to that when we can, sort of thing. So
Yeah, it's all about putting money back, giving MSPs the ability to make money, become more profitable. I know that that's something that you guys are specializing in, and that's something we're doing here at Cork as well. So not only are we providing our MSPs with a monitoring platform and the ability to get their clients discounted cyber insurance, but we're also giving them, a tool, a product that they could actually resell. And in our example, it's a cyber warranty that's available either as $100,000 worth of coverage or $500,000 worth of coverage that they could offer to their clients as supplemental gap coverage alongside cyber insurance. So a lot of our MSPs are indeed bundling in our cyber warranty into their pricing, into their quotes that they're sending out to their clients to really drive stickiness with their customers. So not
yeah,
only are they selling RMM and EDR and backup to their clients, they could say, I'm so confident in those tools I'm selling you that I'm going to put my money where my mouth is and guarantee it or back it with a $100,000 or a $500,000 warranty in this example.
that's awesome. I mean, I think that's like putting your money where your mouth is, sort of thing, right? It's that traditional approach. So that's really cool. I mean, so where do I mean, where MSPs getting started? Like when you go in and you're starting to have this conversation with them, like what are the things that you ask to see if it's a fit?
Yeah, so usually I ask them a little bit about their clients. Do most of them have cyber insurance, don't have cyber insurance? And when I'm dealing with MSPs, I would say around 70% of their clients do not have a cyber insurance policy. And at
Oh,
least with the MSPs that I speak to, they focus on small businesses. And when I say a small business, I'm talking about an organization that probably has 100 employees or less. So
yeah,
that's what I'm dealing with when it comes to small business.
yeah,
So most of them do not have cyber insurance. There might be 30% of clients that do have some form of cyber insurance. Some might be a really good, proper cyber insurance policy. Most of the cyber insurance policies I see are a little bit of a rider policy added onto the primary business insurance. And they're like, oh, yeah, we have cyber insurance coverage. It's, $5,000 for this one attack over here. Like, all right,
yeah.
if you get hit by a real cyber incident, though, what $5,000 isn't going to cover anything.
All right. Yeah. No, I agree. Again, just like so I'm part of a peer group and like one of some of our right. So actually speaking as like, a smaller business and right, what we have to consider internally is like, yeah, do we have cyber? Do we like we have to ask the same questions, right? I mean, Court probably has to ask the same questions as a business, just like these end customers do. And so that's where a lot of this, like, I mean, we had an entire like curriculum built out around cybersecurity and, things like what are some of like the best practice assessments, and we were trying to like assess ourselves, like is MFA required for all systems? Has a risk analysis been conducted? Like do you have an in-house person, leader for cybersecurity been appointed? Like there's just all this stuff that like we are kind of evaluating ourselves on, in terms of are we prepared, right? So like I think it's one thing to like talk about it in terms of our customers, but like it's for us too, right? I mean, any business, right? Whether you're an MSP or not. So um it's interesting stuff. And again, I'm just trying to like
Over the last few years, have you seen more cybersecurity related projects being quoted out through your platform, or has it been pretty stagnant? Do you get that type of granularity?
yeah, no, we do. And I mean we have a like state of IT services report that we pull up and we build out every quarter and then we do an annual one. So I can tell you from like a 2023, here I can share this. Sorry. Like the best way. Clicking the wrong button, my bad.
They're an IT guy here.
I know, right? It's the worst kind of guy to have on a call. Let's see.
Yep, there we are.
So what was interesting in cyber is this little green one is it was ticking up. I mean, you can see over Q3, Q4, Q like clear uptick, kind of fell off, and then Q3 for some of the stuff that we are seeing um started to fall off, but that's the first quarter that we've seen that. So I kind of want to compare this to um what we're seeing like for the year as a whole? Like, did that come back up in Q4? It just depends on buying cycles and stuff like that. But what's also interesting is this idea of like cloud and data center, right? Like dramatically increasing around the types of projects that are being scoped out. But I think that gives you like
Yeah,
that's
and it seems with cybersecurity being that green line, over the last few years, it's pretty dominant up there.
oh, 100%. Yeah, I mean it's been way up there. It's, top three for sure. The traditional networking and then cloud and data center. But I think like as I think about cloud and data center, I think like, okay, what's the exposure there, right? Like that's just an additional layer of complexity that as an end customer, you need to think about, right? Especially in the cyberspace, and securing those assets. So um, yeah, no, it's definitely been interesting and it's up there for sure.
Got it. So how does ScopeStack, show off to its MSPs that it deals with, the success of the solution? How are you guys judging that, saving MSP hours?
Yeah, no, I mean it's a good question. So we it really is like as when we're first talking to clients, it's like, hey, what does your current process look like? And typically it's like, spreadsheets, Word templates, like it's like this very manual process and what it looks like to scope out projects. And we say, how long does that take? And they're like, a week or like multiple days or something like that to get a project scope back to a client. Um, and what we can see, and we have data to prove this out, existing customer stories, like, hey, we have customers that can like scope out engagement in like 15 minutes now, as opposed to days and hours. And so you think about like what you mentioned earlier around driving revenue and driving profitability in the business. It's just one more way we're trying to give, whether you're an MSP or a VAR, just a leg up on your competition, right? Because speed wins deals. Lack of speed also kills deals, right? I mean, you've been in this game for a long time, Nick. Like you're trying to get something out the door, and if it takes too long, you're like, well, I might have missed that opportunity.
Yep. So at Cork, what we help with is, speed in both directions. So we want to get them protected fast before the attack happens, right? So that means getting them a cyber insurance quote, getting them a cyber warranty policy, etc. But we also want to be fast and speedy post attack. So one of the
Yeah.
most recent wins that we've had with one of our MSPs out in Canada, they had a client of theirs. It was a law firm that suffered from a phishing email incident where tens of thousands of sensitive records were exposed. And within around 20, 25 minutes, our platform was able to kick in and alert the MSP that, hey, something's going on here, alongside their SOC team, which also picked up on it. Long story short, there was a cyber event that occurred, but rather than the MSP and their client having to wait around for weeks and weeks and weeks for the cyber insurance to kick in and offer a payout, we were able to issue them a debit card the same day that cyber incident occurred to pay off some of the remediation costs and other cybersecurity incident fees the
That's
same day
crazy.
the attack happened. So that's what I would say is one of the advantages of a cyber warranty, is that it gives the organization fast access to cash the same day that they have a cyber incident. Whereas typically with cyber insurance, while it's important and they'll give you, a multi-million-dollar policy, it might take a very long time for you to actually receive those funds.
Man, that's crazy. I mean, that like feels like that's kind of unheard of, honestly.
Yep.
Right. I
Yep.
mean, so I think like this, again, I keep using the word thread for whatever reason. I don't know why, but like this thread of like speed, right? For both of those is, I mean, that's a competitive advantage, or in this case, it was, kept the business afloat, or it allowed the business to be, better at what they do. So, um, that's awesome stuff, man, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Are, what are you seeing as like the idea of training, right, come into play, and like how do y'all talk about that or think about training, whether it's the MSP or then a customer?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we do provide our MSPs with a lot of sales and marketing training and materials that's co-branded with their name and logo on it. That way they can educate their clients on the differences between cyber insurance and cyber warranty and the different fields that the providers are typically looking for. Like, what is RMM? Why is that important? What is EDR? Why is that important?
Yeah,
Um, One of the more important trainings, obviously, everybody needs to do it, is security awareness training. Even me, I'm a vendor, right? I have to take it myself. Like
so
we
do
all
we.
have to
Yeah,
do it, right?
yeah. I mean, it's like the new like HR training, right? I mean, it's just a part of everything. So, I think that's, there are all sorts of things. And again, kind of speaking from like as an in customer standpoint, like um, there's some great tools and things out there to help your employees be equipped, right, in terms of a training perspective and security. So again, I think it's just like it's all about how do you make, how do you protect your business at the end of the day. Uh,
100%.
so sorry, I was trying to look at I had some other notes here.
I got one for you, as we wrap
Yeah.
up. Let's talk. We've talked a lot about the past and some of the statistics that we've seen. Let's pull out our crystal ball here. What's happening in 2025? What's one thing you want to leave MSPs with?
Yeah, I mean, I think right. I mean, I don't know if you can have a webinar without talking about AI. Like, I think the
You
impact of
stole mine.
AI. Well, we were both going to say it anyway. I mean, I think that's like whether it's from your world or my world, like what is that impact? And I think there's a different answer for each of them. I think from our perspective, like um, I think those service themes that you're seeing, like like that chart I was seeing, like that's going to potentially change as organizations start to roll out more of their own AI solutions, right? So whether it's like cloud data center, preparing for, um, preparing the resources to run some of those large language models, like there's just all sorts of interesting stuff, um, that's going to show up. But for us, it's like, how do you reduce complexity for our end customers? So as a VAR and MSP, like, how do you make it easier for them to be more efficient, more nimble, but at the same time more accurate, right? Not forget things like cybersecurity as a part of their solution offering, So what about you? What do you think? What's going to
Well,
happen?
obviously AI, but the biggest A as part of AI isn't artificial for me. It's accuracy. Accuracy, intelligence, powered by artificial intelligence. So when I think of accuracy, something that we're doing here at Quark is, yeah, we're monitoring all the different cybersecurity solutions, your RMM, your backup, your EDR. But what's cool is that we're using AI to cross-reference all those tools to make sure that they're accurately deployed. And that's how we're able to give the MSPs the heads up that, hey, did you know that you have an RMM agent running on this machine? You have a backup agent running on this machine, but there's no EDR agent running on this machine? Maybe
Mm,
you forgot to install Sentinel-1 that day or whatever your EDR tool is. So it's a great way for us to just, using AI to pinpoint some holes that might be there, which could lead to cyber insurance getting denied in the future if you don't have
mm.
those bare minimum requirements. So that's how we're leveraging AI, and we're probably going to see a lot more of that from other vendors as well for their products to get more hardened and easier to work with. And that's going to be a benefit for MSPs and the small businesses they serve.
Yeah, and then I thought you were going to say actual intelligence and not um,
Accuracy.
accuracy. So like when I think about it too, I mean, my one of my personal thoughts around the whole thing is like, I mean, and you've seen some of these like infographics, right? If you have like crap data and you layer on some machine learning or a large language model or whatever, you get like a unicorn of crap data. Like, I think it's a pretty funny visual. I think like the data's got to be clean, right? For the most part, for it to be meaningful. Otherwise, we're just going to like create a ton of noise and it's going to get even more confusing. So, I mean, it's really cool to hear like how y'all are using that to put organizations in a better spot at the end of the day. So I think that's for us too, is like how do you make sure you have good, clean data? And going straight to the source of that for us, how do we enable our customers to scope projects at higher revenue, right? Ideally delivering more profitability. We don't want them to leave money on the table. So um, how do you make that better for them? How do you give them visibility into like, hey, here's some other areas of solutions that you might not have been doing based on your previous projects with other clients and stuff like that. So um, yeah, it's
Yep.
going to be an interesting world, that's for sure.
Looking forward to it. We're going to have to have another webinar in January 2026 to see how our predictions were for 2025.
Exactly, man. Exactly. Well, Nick, what do you want to leave the folks with? What's kind of the takeaway for you from this call?
Yeah, just cybersecurity, if that's not the front running part of your managed services business, it should definitely be something you want to look into. Whether you end up including Cork Cyber Warranty, a part of that cybersecurity package or not, if you're not selling and leading with cybersecurity first as an MSP, you might not be an MSP in a couple years from now.
Yeah. No, yeah. And again, like the continual thread of like speed that we both kind of have in both of our businesses is what I want to take away with, right? Like how can you become more competitive in an extremely competitive environment, right? Like that's a big and it doesn't have to be super complicated stuff, right? Like just check the box like, hey, I'm going to make sure I include cyber warranty, or I'm going to make sure I include like a cyber insurance component of every solution I'm scoping. Like that should be an easy thing to do. It shouldn't be like this huge lift. And that's where we can definitely help VARs and MSPs make their business more efficient, drive consistency so that you know when you're delivering a project for your client, you're going to do it well, right? You're going to check all the boxes that you need to check so that say one day something really bad happens from a cyber perspective, you're prepared, right? And one of the other ways you can prepare is have partners like Cork and your MSP working with you from an end customer standpoint. So again, getting on this webinar feels like, hey, these are kind of two different companies, but at the end of the day, man, like we all work together to really make a better MSP, a better VAR, and help our clients, right? I mean, because we are all businesses as well. And just like,
Absolutely. And both of our businesses are vendor agnostic, right? We
yeah,
work with all the
yeah,
kids that are in the sandbox.
exactly. 100%. Cool, man. Well, Nick, again, first webinar of the year.
Woo!
It's a good one. There's a wolf behind you. I don't know if you know that, but he's there. And really appreciate your time, man. Good luck
No
to you all this
problem.
year. We'll stay in touch.
Yep, we'll see you on the road. Thanks for having me on, John.
All right,
Bye.
man. See ya.